There it goes. Hey peeps, locking down the truth with Marci Locke and my guest today on Marci Locke TV, influential. As you can see, I'm in my new epic backyard. I don't know if you guys can see like the beautiful palm trees. I'm kind of getting to hang out in the awesome sun today, and I got big poofy hair, Jenny, because I'm gonna go do some filming right after this for some TV stuff. So I mean, most of the time I'm rocking out the sweaty gear, but I do dress up nicely sometimes. It's how I roll. So if you guys are joining us on Marci Locke TV today, and you have never joined us before, you're in for an amazing treat. But Marci Locke TV is about this. It's all about those people who are living as examples of the belief system that they can have an epic life, that you can have a life of having it all, getting out of this crazy belief system that one or two aspects of our life can work and the other ones aren't as good, or that life is a settle, or there's some good, some bad. And Jenny, I love, her and I were just talking and kind of discussing her passion is really getting to see how she's shifted into this space. And so my whole intention of Marci Locke TV is to bring on people who are truly living as influencers in life, who are sharing their passion and purpose, having the full experience of epic relationships, finances, living their passion, purpose, spiritually connected, physically aligned in their body of truth, like fully living life all out. So Jenny, thank you for being here with me today. This girl is freaking awesome. So she's been featured on Oprah magazine. She's done so many different aspects of blogging and writing and teaching people how to go for their dreams and their passion, their purpose. And before I kind of like, you know, just throw all the amazingness of her, I want her to be able to share with you guys what her passion is and like how she got on this path and really started. But she does some of the coolest stuff. Like she's got, I thought this one was awesome, sex pot with stretch marks. It was in the Huffington Post, an actual article that she wrote. So that's a really cool one that you guys can find out about. She does a ton with self-love, a ton with reinventing yourself. So this girl's phenomenal. So I'm glad that you guys joined us today. If you are just tapping into this now, you can go to mindbody90.com to get the free video series to be liberated from the lies that are limiting you and get the truth to set you free, as well as the app is where you can see this show again over and over as many times as you want, and as well as be able to check out all of our past shows, get the free workouts, recipes, you name it. All the greatness of how do you live an epic life is on the Marci Locke app, and that is downloadable at marcilockeapp.com or on iTunes. So Jenny, without further ado, drumroll, thank you for making this work, by the way. We're a couple hours difference in time frame, and like it's been scheduling craziness between you and me and what to find out, so you totally rearranged family schedules and everything, so yes. I appreciate you doing that.
Well, you know what, it's been a juggle to be at home with the 5 kids and to do business stuff. That has definitely been a challenge for me this summer. But it's all good. Life is all about balance. It's like sometimes you feel like you're really balancing, and then other times you're like, but that's where the self-love, part comes in.
Yes.
Is, wellness in mind, body, and spirit. You have to be. Or if not, if I feel off-center and I'm like, okay, there's too much going out and not enough coming in, I have to like realign myself. So that way you don't get sick, you don't get, mad, all that. So,
but that's what's phenomenal is look at your life schedule. You're a mom with 5 kids, you just said, and you rock out your passion, your purpose, and that's part of what you're really passionate about is actually the mommy trap and women getting stuck in that. But before we go into all the awesome nuggets that you have in your passion, kind of share with us, who are you? Like, what allowed you to become the Jenny that you are today?
Well, first of all, people have said, how did you get to, the place where you're at so young? Because for some people, I'm 37. For some people, they don't get to the place of self-love until much later. And for me, I think that, if you really can't stand yourself, it makes you want to launch even harder than if you kind of like don't like yourself that much. And that's how I feel. So my backstory is I was bulimic as a teen, depressed, like a cutter, the whole nine. Became suicidal, and then changed my life around, and then come to have two kids at 24, and I was overweight. And I literally would have never imagined that I would be overweight because weight was such a big, huge thing to me. And I was just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, how did I get to this? I like cut my hair short. I was dressing all frumpy. I was like trying to be this legit mom as this like young mom.
That's funny the way you say it. You're like a legit mom.
Seriously.
Mom, like, oh, I'll take the role of mom. It means I turn into the
I'm serious.
Out of sweat clothes. I love it.
Yes. we look at pictures, and my husband's like, I don't even remember you looking like that. I'm like, I know. I look younger now. But so then I lost weight, and I was shocked to find out that I was not happy, and I didn't like myself, and it actually was worse after I lost the weight. Because if you have like a goal that you figure, okay, if I get that, if I make more money, if I get that job, if I get that man, if I get whatever it is, then I'll be happy. And then you get that thing, and you're like, oh my God, they're so right, like it's an inside job. Yep. So with that, I was miserable, and I was like angry all the time, and I couldn't stand myself. And then, you know, that's what I'm saying about when you really don't like yourself, then you really want to strive even harder to get to the place of loving yourself. And finding a passion is really what led me to this. Like, now I look back and I'm like, I had no outlet. I had nothing besides just my husband and kids, and I don't think it's healthy. I think you have to have something, whether it's knitting, whether it's exercising, whatever it is, it has to be something just for you. And for me, it came about with me writing, and I decided to write a novel, and my novel's called The Jennifers, and it was so much fun. It was like, I loved reading. So creating something that I would like to read, I was just like, I get so into it. And I'd create these characters, and I'm like, oh, is this character believable? And then I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe they just said that. Like, they really do take on a life of their own. And I love getting sucked into a story. And that's when you're writing it, you get sucked into it. And then in writing the novel, she goes on a journey, like, to find herself. And of course, like, you know, some of it's in the gym, you know, because it really is like, it's interesting how a lot of people will make a physical transformation that then they realize like they have to take the other steps with, you know, with body and mind, I mean with spirit and mind, or else if they don't really get the
last. It doesn't last, because like you said, you end up finding that happiness anyways.
Exactly. Yeah. But I do think that you really need movement in your life. I think that there's something on an energetic level that we need to be always flowing things through our body. Like, if you sit at a desk all the time, and then you go home and sit in front of, you know, the TV, your cells, like, you know, your blood needs to be pumped through your body. Like, I believe that if you look at, like, Qigong and in martial arts, everything is energy. Like, we are made up of energy. And if it's not flowing, it's stagnant. So I feel like there's actually, like, a spiritual component to exercise. Yeah. But so when I came out with my novel, I was like, I want to show people that you can just decide that you want to write a book and go out there and go after it. Because there was a part of me that in my 20s would have never came out with a novel because I would have thought I wasn't smart enough. It's the limiting beliefs that we have. And it's like, where in the world would you get that from? It's kind of silly. But then...
Look at where it did come from for you? Where that belief came from?
I think I just had low self-esteem. I have to open up my blinds. We're like, all of a sudden...
Yeah, I was like, you're really dark. Did you disappear?
I know. Yeah,
it's getting dark already in your time zone. I'm in the sun. I'm like, I keep edging. The sun keeps getting me.
We are very authentic here. And then, look, and then I'm like an angel.
I can distract. I'll take off my shirt for a minute while you blind.
There you go. We don't want to miss that. But so... And also, like, putting yourself out there, it's huge. When you put yourself out there, it's like you dare, like, oh, my God, what if I fail? What if it's not a success? You know, what will people think? And I was somebody who was very much wrapped up in what other people thought. That's how I formed my opinion of myself. Yeah. And when you do that, you are always going to lose because everybody's not going to like you. And it is that mommy trap of, like, well, what does a mom do? And it's like, okay, she has to look this way. She has to limit herself to fit into this box, this little role. And I was like, no, I'm not playing that. I'm not. But it was hard because there is, you know, depending upon where you live, you feel like you have to be a certain way. And I would not be able to say any of the things that I say now with the sass and with the fire if I was concerned with the way other people were going to receive me, because it really has nothing to do with me. It has to do with them.
It's the mirror. It's the mirror that they're
exactly,
or their perception of life. But what I love, Jenny, is this is what I'm talking about. By a woman who stands in her power and her purpose is there is no attachment to judgment. There is no attachment to anybody else and what they're thinking, what their perception is, because you understand, oh, that's okay for them. If they're, you know, even attacking me or saying something negative about me, I understand that that's just their perception of where they are in their growth process. And I don't give a fuck, honestly. Like, I get to be in my own truth and power, and being that you validate yourself. So you say so many women get stuck in this mommy trap. What was, if you experienced that, because I know I did. I totally experienced that phase in my life as well, and it was that realizing, no, this isn't the game I want to play for life. I want something greater and different. What was it for you? So maybe these women listening out there that might be stuck in that, what was it for you that made you realize, like, there was much more, or there was too much pain in that, and more that shifted you to go, I'm going to push past all these beliefs in front of me that people are going to judge me, or I have to look a certain way, as you've said it, and allow myself to be more? What did that for you?
Well, first of all, I remember feeling like I wasn't even appreciating the good in my life. I was like, I kept praying. I was like, I want perspective without tragedy. Like, I wanted to realize how good I had it without there being something catastrophic that would have to happen in my life. And I realized I had to create that. Like, I had to be somebody who was grateful, and I had to be responsible for my own happiness. So one of the things that I did was that I studied the law of attraction, and when I studied the law of attraction, I realized that, like, I was going to focus on my vibe, and some people were not going to match my vibe anymore. And that is a very painful thing, and I know there's a lot of women that tend to, like, keep themselves, like, overweight and like, not successful, and all these places where they really don't want to be because they are afraid if they go beyond the bounds of, like, their mommy clique or whatever it is, their group of friends that they're used to, or their colleagues, then they're going to be different. And we're like pack animals. We want to feel like we belong. And I never really felt like I would belong, but I would, like, get into a group and, like, for 5 minutes feel like I belonged. And I was like, okay, we're good. But then I'd always feel like, in a way, that I was always going to be the outsider. And I use that as a gift now, because I feel like it makes me an excellent writer. Because if you always feel like that outsider, like that inner dork, I just take that as, like, it means that I have to be my own best friend. And I have tons of friends, but it's not about that. It's a matter of that I'm not going to be limited by what somebody else, thinks I should do or shouldn't do. Funny thing is when you don't care what anybody thinks anymore about what they think how you should live your life, they treat you differently. Like, no one tells you you're doing anything wrong then. I mean, yes, occasionally
you don't see it.
You might get somebody on it. Exactly.
Right? But when you're looking for judgment from everyone else, and you're living in that mommy role or that perfectionist identity role that's like, oh, how do I have to show up so that everybody loves me? All you see is the glares and the looks and the, oh my gosh, they're judging me. When you don't, it's like, when I use this story all the time when I'm speaking, talking about how, like, I do crazy things on TV and crazy things in different seminars, and how the only people that are drawn to me are the ones that think that's badass. When I'm just being me, when I'm doing, like, my full authentic crazy thing, and I'm just happy being me, all these people that think it's awesome come to me, and all the people that are probably like, she crazy. What's she crazy? I don't even see them. I don't even see them. And yet my nanny, one of my assistants and my nanny, she says to me, like, we were at the park, and I was working out in the park and doing crazy stuff, and she was like, I love watching people that come into when we go into different places, because she's like, it's like you become this show. And all these people, I see people go, and, like, people giving me the weird look, and other people are kind of drawn to me, and she's like, you just become this show. And I'm like, I don't even see them. I don't even see them. And yet she sees them. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but that's what you're talking about, is when you're in your truth. I use this statement that I think is what you're saying, which is, because we're always looking to prove our beliefs right? So we're either looking to prove our belief. If the belief is, oh, people are judging me, we're looking for evidence of that. Or so we can be proving our old beliefs right, or we can be happy. I'm like, do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? I choose happy.
Oh, totally. Yeah. But that's where I want to give anybody who's listening permission. Like, you have permission to live your best life, however that looks. Because, like, a lot of women, they feel like, okay, well, even what will my husband say? And it's like, if he's going to judge you, then you really need to take a look at your relationship. Because if your partner should always want the best for you, they should want you to be always seeking. Because that's the other thing, is that complacency, like, we should be satisfied with what we have. There's a difference in being grateful and then being like, okay, well, I'm just going to settle for shit. Like, you don't have to settle for anything. And if you think about it, like, in nature, there's always growth. We're always seeking. The universe is always seeking to expand. Like, it's not going to just stop. It's always expanding. Universe, okay? So are we. And there's never going to be a day where you don't grow in some way. You're always going to be learning. And so we kind of had that idea maybe growing up that, like, you shouldn't be always asking for more. And it's like, yeah, you should. You should always be asking for more.
I love
because
that.
It's like, give me more sunsets. Give me more laughs. Give me more love. Like, that's good. But we're like, don't ask for too much, And I know for myself, too, we had Dr. Brene Brown has talked about, like, you know, how joy scares us because like when we feel really good, then we're like, oh my God, what bad thing could happen? And I know
Yeah.
sometimes I'll get so happy. What?
I said you don't know what to do with it. It's like
You don't.
Gay. I think is I'm trying to think of his last name, but The Big Leap. That book, the up level theory. Have you heard of that? When you up level, all of a sudden you do the same thing. Your body goes, whoa, wait a minute, this is out of my comfort zone. And so we all of a sudden have a negative thought or a fear or something show up that wants to pull us back into our comfort zone of how we are supposed to feel. Like it's so opposite to be like, oh, life is awesome and joyful. And that's the belief system that I believe now, that life gets to be epic in every way. And when you are a divine goddess or God living in your truth and you remember that, you're worthy of awesomeness. And you're saying that. You're like, why wouldn't I ask for more? Why wouldn't I deserve more sunsets? Why wouldn't I deserve the most epic awesome? Yeah.
Well, that's also like letting go of the word selfish. Yep. Like that idea, I don't believe in the word selfish, even though occasionally I'll throw it out at my kids, like, you're being selfish. But, you know, it's self-full. Like the idea of self-full, when you're self-full, your cup is running over. It runneth over and onto everyone else. But if your cup is never full, you're always looking and seeking from other people to fill up your cup, and it's never going to get filled up. It's just nothing outside of you.
Yep.
Yeah, because nothing outside of yourself is ever going to compensate for the lack within you. It's just impossible. And that's where you can even see, like, celebrities. People think, oh, I want this, I want that. You don't want that. You want to feel good and feel good in your own life, because they may look like they have it all together, but you don't know what's going on in their life. Because I can also see the trap of, like, success, needing more success and more success, and it's almost like you have to, like, settle into success and be like, this is awesome, but you can't be always needing it, or else that's, again, the outside validation. So it's a balance. It's totally a balance, because I think we should always have goals, but don't be attached to your goals, because sometimes the universe has
it doesn't give you your worth. When your worth is, I am worthy just being me, I'm worthy just being here breathing. Like, I'm perfect, whole, complete right now in my experience and who I am. And if I want something more, how do I go for that but not be attached to say that's what validates me? Because that's almost like, that is that perfectionist identity trap where it's like constantly trying to show up for everybody else to be validated, and yet go for everything external, which is what you're saying, to be validated, instead of it comes from internal self-worth.
Exactly, and I see that in you know, with the fitness industry. For some people, it's like on the wagon, off the wagon, and they're training, but like I want to give them a hug, because I'm like, honey, don't beat yourself up. Like, you look fantastic, but it is that when people set a goal, it's like then they reach that goal, and then it's like, now what? Like, okay, there's a letdown. It's like the day after Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I thought that I would be at this mountain and then something would happen. And it's like, no, you have to be there every day. Like, it's a choice. It's a choice that you make to be happy, to love yourself, regardless. Because really, our outside, like, I love to be a girly girl, and I love to, you know, be the best that I can, but you can't be so attached to it, because we're all going to get older. And one of the things that, you know, with the sex pot with stretch marks, with that one that, you know, people resonated with, is that I have stretch marks, and I'm not going to, like, you know, wear a muumuu my whole life to hide them, because I've had 5 babies. That's what they are. They're my goddess stripes, you know. But it's the same with wrinkles. Like, we're going to get these things that as our body changes. But if you see women that have wrinkles and you just see, like, the outside is like shining out, they look gorgeous. They don't need to do anything to their face. They really don't. And so it's like the industries kind of want us to always be wanting to improve ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. But you can't always feel like you're on that, like, hamster wheel going nowhere. Like, oh, I'm never going to get there.
Yeah. Well, and what resonates for me with you saying that is in my journey, when I started at 4 years old, striving to get a perfect body because of the beliefs I took on that would make me loved and good enough. So my whole life, starting at 4, I started to focus on the body, and I did everything from, like you mentioned, bulimia. I was anorexic, bulimic. I tried pills, diets, programs my whole life growing up. And that whole entire time, trying everything you can imagine for weight loss, I never allowed myself to get to the perfect body, because the internal belief system first was not there that said I was worthy of it. Starting at the core saying, oh, I have to have that to be good enough, means I, in and of myself, don't accept me for who I am. I'm not worthy of it. I'm not good enough of it. So the ego mind doesn't want to be forced. So when we have to do something, we have to have something outside of ourselves to be good enough if we don't believe we're worth it. So I'd strive for it, and I'd even get close. So you're talking about like some people get to that goal and then they're like, well, now what? I'm not happy, because they thought the actual surface thing was going to give them the happiness. What I see a lot of people is they don't even ever let themselves get there, or they get there and they instantly sabotage it, because it's a conflict battle inside that says, I'm worthy of this, I get to have this, and so this is my belief system that I can have it, that I'm deserving and worthy of it. So for me, until I shifted to the internal becoming clear and aligned and the belief system that said I could have it, it's like, then once I did that and I got to the roots and shifted all those belief systems that weren't serving me, then I've lived in a lean, ripped body, 8-pack abs for 10 plus years after having kids and 70-pound weight gain and all that, because I believe I'm worthy of it. And of course, it's easy and effortless. So this is exactly what you're saying, where it's like, get clear internally first, and then allow what will show up, the reflection, I believe the reflection of whatever your results are. In your finances, in your relationships, in your spiritual connection, in your body, are all a reflection of your self-worth. It's all a reflection of what you believe you deserve and what you're experiencing in life. So how did you, you talk about, which I would love for women to hear this, the non-competition factor. Like, and I think that's a big thing on self-worth, because if I see a beautiful woman, I'm like, sometimes I've gone up to beautiful women in seminars and I'm like,
I have too.
damn girl, I'm like, damn girl, you're hot. You know, or I'm like, you know, good for you. And they're like, is she hitting on me? Like, and there's kind of that look for a moment of like, you know, like, I don't know how to take this, because most beautiful women are just used to getting the stare down, the nasty eye. Sometimes I'll be out with my guy friends somewhere and they're like, that woman is like staring you down with the nastiness. I'm like, oh, all good. I'm like, you know, it's like, it's a reflection of, like, they feel intimidated. They don't feel, so for a woman to get that whole, from another woman, wow, you're beautiful. Good for you. Like, and taking care of you and like feeling your self-worth. And they're like, thank you. And I'm like, of course, girl, you know, like, so but that's because and actually I'm like, oh, that's a mirror for me. I think I'm a hot, good looking bitch too. So there you go. But again, like, how do you address teaching women that about the non-competition factor, allow them to go within?
Well, I think women are so fascinating, and when we can actually like be in our best place within ourselves, we are amazing. And I feel that we can change the world when we keep going into the non-competition. And one thing about the Jennifers, my book, that I loved is I love writing like female characters that are good friends. Like, because to me, to be a good friend and being supportive to other women is just like, it means the world to me in my life. And I feel like you can't really ever get anywhere without a little bit of help from your friends, right? And so the normal dynamic that you see in a lot of friendships is the talking behind the back and all that. And in the book, there, you know, I don't like writing perfect characters because there's no such thing. So I actually enjoy like putting a little bit of flaws there, because it's like our quirks, the things that make us us. But for me, I wrote this one poster that went all over on Facebook, and it was I can never quote things off the top of my head, but it was like, I'm in competition with no one. And it was like, I got off the treadmill, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I just ran, I think it was 3 miles. I don't think it was 5. And I'm not a runner. Like, you know, I do all different types of fitness things. But I was thinking, in my mind, I thought of this one skinny girl that I know who runs like 26 miles. And I was like, and you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm like, because to me, my 3 miles was like a marathon. I was like, I am so happy. And it was the idea of, I'm in competition with no one. I run my own race. And when you come from that place, you're going to strive to be your best. And whether it's in fitness or whether it's in a workplace, you can go in and observe what other people are doing and say, I'd like to get to a place like that. But then you got to get back in your own lane, or else you're going to trip and fall. And what happens is that there might be a greatness in you that if you like let that bloom, it could even be greater than the thing that you're looking at in them. Yes. But if you're focused on the greatness in them, you're going to miss out on yours. But yep. I do the same thing with women, is that I feel my best when I'm in loving kindness towards other women. And if I feel any sort of like competition, or I'm like, oh wait, I'm comparing myself, that's, my vibe is way low. And that's when I need to look within and realize, like, that has nothing to do with me, what they're doing. Not a damn thing. Mm-hmm. And with the limiting beliefs thing, after I had my 4th child, I wanted to lose weight. And I was like, I wanted to lose like 15 pounds. And I don't even remember how much I was at that point, but maybe it was like 25 more than I am now. And I was like, I'm going to start, watching what I'm eating and exercising. And I just got this feeling, and it was like, nope, if you go in at this level, you're going to feel miserable. Like, it's not going to be a happy journey, a happy outcome. So
Because
I
it was
was like, okay.
It was a
Exactly.
forced feeling.
So then I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to work on myself, work on getting back to the self-love, and do it like the right way instead of backwards, like we all have done and we were taught to do. Like, when you get there, you'll love yourself. So I was like, no, I'm going to love myself now. And I was like, I'm going to, take pictures, take selfies of myself just the way I am. And I was like feeling really good about myself. And then that's when I decided, like, okay, it's time. And it was like, I kind of just knew it was time. And then I was like, okay, now it's time. Now I feel like I can go in. And it was at least, what was it? I don't know if it was a year or two later. I can't even remember at this point. But I took the time that I needed to take in order to get to the right place. And I used to do this meditation where I would close my eyes and I would visualize. I was 130 at the time, and I'm about 110 now, and I wanted to get to 115. And in my mind, which I don't think people should get hung up on numbers because it's always going to look different. Like, you can weigh more and be leaner, all that. But sometimes people need goals. But I remember, like, putting my hand on my belly and just imagining, like, I'm 115 pounds, but with no attachment that I wasn't okay at 130, because that was the key. Because you can't be, like, with your hands on your belly and being like, I'm 115, and you're like, but really I'm 130 and I hate myself. So it was like from this place of I'm 115, and just it's a given, it's out there in the universe. And within a few months, that was like in January, and by like May I had lost the 15 pounds. But it was effortless, because I was just like, if I loved myself, I would eat this or do this. And I was like, what does my body crave, like food-wise or exercise-wise? And I made everything fun. I didn't make it a drag. And I would do this meditation also with my hands on my belly, because when I had gotten down to like 110 years ago and wasn't happy, all I saw was my stomach. And of course, it reflected back that people in the gym were like, oh, you'll need to have a tummy tuck for that. And I was like, thanks. Like, I lose all that 60 pounds and you're like going to say that's me. It felt really lousy. So I put my hands on my belly.
Bullshit perception.
Yeah. So I put my hands on my belly and I would say, I love you. I love you. I love you. And I would just imagine like that going into all the cells of my body, and like how wonderful that felt. Because I was just like, yeah, everybody, like all you cells, like thank you so much for all that you do every day. Because I just started getting this awareness of like, man, if I talk to somebody when they're older, they look back and they're like, I had it going on. And I know, like looking back at high school pictures, I'm like, I should have been walking around in a bikini all damn day or a half top, But it's always that perspective that we don't have until later on. And then women that want to obsess about cellulite or this or that, I would think of it from the perspective of, if you talk to a woman with cancer, she would be looking at you like, shut the hell up about your cellulite. Like, you have this healthy, vibrant body. And they would have a totally different vision, literally with their eyes, than what you're seeing. So I was like, yeah, I really just need to rethink about everything differently. And that's really what it is. Rethink it differently. And whether that's through affirmations or just playing around with, like, what is another way I could think about this? But every time people get into, like, that, they might say to you, like, well, it's easy for you. And whenever somebody says, I want to whack them, back of the head like, an Italian mother. Because it's like, as soon as you say it's easy for me, nothing's easy for anybody. I do not believe that anything's easy for anybody in the way that it takes effort. Like, somebody could be beautiful, be naturally thin, whatever it is, and they still are making a choice on some level to, create their own happiness. But as soon as somebody goes into excuses, it's like they've stopped the energy flow. It's where the but, ... And it's like, that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, they're operating out of fear versus love. Now, the difference is like, so I want to share some light on this, because you said when you felt like you wanted to shed weight on your stomach, instead of going to the beliefs like, so someone has a belief like, oh yeah, you're going to need a tummy tuck for that. And you said, well, I just thought, well, how do I think about this differently? Because obviously if there's energy, we're creating in every moment. We never stop creating. Whatever thought we're thinking, whatever perception we have, whatever feeling and energy we're exuding is creating something. So if we're literally, if you're like, oh, my fat tummy, and you're focused on fat tummy and this, it's exuding that energy. It's believing, it's telling your body literally to slow down metabolism, to store fat, to not let it go, instead of telling it what you want, which is out of love versus fear. So there's two energies. There's fear, there's love. And I don't know if you even know this, Jenny, but you just spoke such truth in the fact that, I mean, I know this stuff because I'm a nutrition fitness expert and because I've studied the deep connections with the mind and the associations and the beliefs and all these different things. And Deepak Chopra even has scientific evidence that shows your thoughts change your cells. And you have 37.2 trillion cells just waiting for your design. That literally your thoughts will shift your cells. And actually, see, I used to believe like, oh yeah, getting older when I was in my shitty ass belief systems. Once I understood that my cells actually regenerate every day, that my organs recreate new organs every year, I'm literally getting younger every day. Like when I started to believe that, I look 10 years younger now than I did 10 years ago. Because I believe I'm young every day. And so I teach this concept of like, again, yes, whatever your mind focuses on is what you're going to create and experience. So when people go, oh, I shed all this weight like you, but if I could just lose this, I'm like, interesting, what are you focused on? What does your mind see when you say, if I could just lose this? It's focused on fat, it's feeling not good. All these things trigger it to go, okay, I'll prove you right. Okay, that's what you're saying. You're saying store fat, hold on to it. So it really does come down to choice. So I believe there's this difference between, like you're saying, it's not easy, but so I believe it's as easy or as hard as you want to make it, because it is a choice, like you're saying. So someone who lives in health, for me, I live in health with ease. It's effortless. It is easy, but that's because I've chosen the belief systems and the choices that say living in health is easy, and I'm worthy of the behaviors, and this is how to, and I can learn the how-tos to make it easy, versus someone else can choose that eating healthy is hard because they're choosing those perceptions and those beliefs. What's the feedback? How do I shift this? Which I love that you said, you gave people a golden nugget, and that if there's something not working for you, how do I rethink about this? How do I shift my perception about this and even challenge it? Because what most of us do is we just never even challenge the thoughts. We believe the thoughts in our head, and we have 120,000 plus thoughts a day, and we don't question them. So of course you're getting the same ass shit that is what's going through your head. So really, what do you want to choose to think about? You just gave some like epic golden nuggets there.
Thank you.
Like, let's go back to those. Those are awesome.
Well, you know what though? It's for me too. It was like the idea of wanting to lose the weight. I was like, you know, people get a laundry list of foods they can't have, and so it's like, why would you ever want to make a change if you feel like you're losing everything?
Yeah.
So the idea of whether someone's quitting smoking or making any sort of change, there has to be a tipping point of that they feel like they're going to gain something out of it. Because if you're just in the fact of losing, like you're going to lose out, then why would you do it? So instead, it's like, don't have a list of foods that you can have. Think about, like, what healthy food do I actually like? What foods can I have?
What do you get to add to your diet? What do you get to replace and try versus get rid of and take away? It's all perception.
Oh my God! And then also the idea of I like look like a ghost. I have to turn on the light here. It's like,
you do. You're a little bit like just like share truth. You can be like the authentic like
exactly the goddess of wellness.
Cover your face and then you'll like pop out in a different spot.
But the sunset was supposed to cooperate, and the sunset is not cooperating. So I got to turn my light on. So pause. I'll be right back in 1 second.
We love it. It's awesomeness. This is the greatness. Actually, well, she is creating some lighting so you guys can actually see her. I'll share with you how you can actually follow Jenny. She's got her website at jennygperry.com. She does have a Facebook following. You can follow her on Twitter. She's got all sorts of blogs that you can be able to participate in. And what's great is and which I'm probably going to lead us into, Jenny, is how you created this passion then, like you're saying, like so for so many women to then find a passion. Started to write, and writing became your passion, and like teaching people how to find that part of them that they share, and like redefine themselves and love themselves and do all these things. But this, what you share with a lot of people, is through your blog and through your posts, and that's why you've got the Huffington Post. She's been, again, featured in Oprah. So again, you guys, go to jennygperry.com. I know you've got some awesome things actually coming up that are launching and coming out, right, as well, for people to be able to take advantage of.
Yes, in January I'll be launching. It's a compilation of Facebook posts. You know, everybody was like, I would post, and then they'd be like, "Oh, I gotta save that," and I'm like, "Wait, I think I should be putting this into something." So it's like all this writing kind of put me in the direction of now becoming who I am. Like, I was just this Jersey housewife it was
Yeah.
on Facebook, and then, oh, okay, I'm going to write a novel. And then it's like, oh my goodness. But because I got out of my own way and was like, okay, what are the possibilities for my life? And
Hmm.
then that's where things keep unfolding. And like the Huffington Post, I'm a featured blogger on BeliefNet. My column there is called Sassy Spirit. And now, like my website, I really want to make my website kick ass where it feels like it's alive and not just like a landing place. So I'm going to come out with a newsletter. Like I'm so ready to get even more things started in September. Now the kids are going back to school. So I'm super excited. I love cheering other women on. That's my huge thing because I feel like when we're cheering each other on, it's like it's just kind of like the energy. I might cheer on somebody, they might cheer on somebody. Like, you know, when you aren't worried about who's cheering you on and you're just focused on cheering somebody else on, it's a win-win. Because I know sometimes we have a tendency to like be like, oh, I wish that person would promote me or support me or whatever. You have that expectation that they should. And really, it doesn't matter. Throw out the scorecard. Somebody else will. Like, you just keep doing the good energy and it comes back to you totally. And now I'm like totally lit.
Got it. Love that. I'm moving. I'm slowly sliding away from the sun.
I know.
I keep getting hot,
and
I'm like sliding out of the sun as I'm getting my body is
it's
getting
all
sun.
about light, buddy. I know. It's all
And you
about
keep
the
going
light.
in the dark. This is just fun. You just play what's that game called where you're rotating chairs or like.
I know. I thought you were just trying
Awesome.
to give us a boob shot. That's what I thought you were trying to do.
Well, I could give you a sports bra little boob shot. I mean, this is how I create boobs. I'm like this. No, there's not much there. That's like the nubs. And see, this is another thing. So when I was in my limited self, Jenny, I totally wanted a boob job. I totally thought, being ripped and shredded, I'm a 12-year-old looking boy. And so I wanted boobs to make me feel good about myself. And and I'm not saying that that's not okay for anyone. I mean, a couple of my trainers that work for me have boob jobs. Like, it's totally a choice for people to like, how do I give myself self-love if that's what they really want. For me, as soon as I went internal and I created a love for myself, it's like, heck yeah, I love myself. I got rock hard assets and nice little tiny nubs. And so, if there's something there, it's usually bra.
Yeah. But you know what, though? That's the idea of, yeah, believe me, I have friends of mine that have breast implants, and that's fine, but I've just seen, like, I've seen people go overboard with it, and then it doesn't even look like they're honoring their body anymore. It just, I don't even find it attractive. It's like, go with one at least that fits your body. That's all. But for me,
well, and it's funny because I remember some ladies a couple years ago when I first really started in the fitness industry. I was doing TV stuff, and I remember doing some like fitness appearance. I was at this gym, and these women came up to me and they said, I trust you because and they said it like as nicely as possible, but because I have little boobs, basically. They're like, because you're natural, because you're not fake. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And they're like, well, you didn't get a boob job. I was like, oh, okay. Like, they trust me because I didn't. So, I mean, it's interesting, like, what people attach to it. And again, I think it's totally okay for someone if that is a choice out of love for themselves. But if it is out of, oh, this will make me love myself more, this will make me more accepted, this will make me validated, this will make me look better, this will draw attention. So any of that, if it's to achieve more love for yourself, then that's actually opposite. It's like it's not going to give you that feeling of love. So it just disappeared for me once I fully loved myself. I love how we can go from, musical chairs to you being a ghost to me flashing, like doing.
I know, I love it. Well,
life is awesome.
It is. And my boobs are not as high as they were at one time, but I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I had played around with at different times, like that I should get a breast lift or a tummy tuck or whatever, because, when I had lost the weight, it was kind of like my body's still not perfect. And it's like, yeah, but when you can shift the focus to like what you love about your body and like honor the whole thing as your temple. You're not just body parts. Yeah. And like you said about like the focus, like if someone comes at you and they're like, oh my God, do you see these wrinkles or do you see the skin here or whatever? Now you're looking at it instead of like just, them saying like, this is me, I love myself. Then they're not even seeing the flaws. But as soon as you start pointing them out, then they're like, oh, I didn't notice it until you said it. It was
like, totally.
You like made it light up, instead of being like, that's where the whole idea with the stretch marks is that a lot of women, like they feel shame about that. And it's like, what if we had the idea that stretch marks were just the same as like freckles? You know, and if wrinkles were just the same as freckles or, you know, our hair or whatever, they're just parts of us, but they don't have to be good or bad. And that's where the whole energy thing comes in about food and about anything, is that once we deem things good or bad, they hold so much power. And like the idea of, you know, with food, if you have no-no foods that are good and bad, then all you want to do is have those no-no foods because you've made it this, like, you know, the holy grail now. And if you can just be like, okay, what if all things are just choices? They're just choices, not good or bad. And then you'd be surprised that you're like, man, what would I choose? Because now I haven't attached to good or bad. Because if you have bad foods, quote unquote, then when you eat them, you're bad. Yep. And if you have good foods, you're good when you eat them. And it's like, oh, and that's where like the shame comes in, where they feel bad, then they eat everything in their house, and they're just going to like fast for the rest of their life and starting the next day. And it's that hamster wheel. Instead of being like, if you do have an indulgent meal, I don't believe in, for me, like the word cheat day or cheat meal, I don't like it because the energy of cheat is negative. So I take it as like indulge, like an indulge day, an indulge meal. And it just feels better because you should really enjoy it. Like if you're going to indulge in cheese fries, like lick your plate. At least enjoy it. Because vibrationally, if you're feeling bad when you're eating it, it's like, what's the point of that? But I was just going to finish the thought, is that like if you do have that thing that you weren't planning on and you indulge in, like, oh, you know, just the next meal is a reset. It's not the next day. It's the next meal.
So when shame, I love this. Shame is the lowest vibrating energy. So anytime you attach anything to shame, and so one of the things that I'm always teaching and expanding on is there is no such thing as good or bad, wrong or right, this or that. It's just your perfect process and choices in front of you. Like you said, like if we drop all the attachments and stories, it just is. And then you can look at it and say, well, if I choose this, how is it going to make me feel? What results is it going to give me in life? Is that really what I want? Is this going to give me energy and make me feel good, or is this going to make me feel sluggish and tired? Or like, so it's just choices. And I love that you reflect onto the shame thing, because that's where so many people get stuck in the shame game and going into this space where it's like, okay, so if I drop stories and attachments, how can I then move forward in my life to like create at a greater degree? So what would you say for is that thing that allowed you to go, okay, you found writing. How would you direct people that might be experiencing some of these things that we're talking about, or some heavy consciousness things where it's like, for me, it's been a lot of journey in my growth and what I teach of like expanding the mind to go, that's a bullshit story you're in. Like, that's not really true. Like, what if you perceive life to be this, or perceive it to be easy, or you didn't have these attachments? But say someone's just experiencing kind of the mommy trap right now, or you know, the thought process that they're just a mom and a wife. Like you and I talked a little bit about that. How do you, because I know you love to direct women to empowerment and passion and finding that passion. What are the questions you ask people, or how do you allow them to kind of reflect, go, well, how do I share more of me, and or break the trap that's all that they are?
Well, first of all, one quote that I just want to share about shame is that I believe that shame prevents growth. And wherever we're stuck in any area of shame, whether it's in our past or wherever it is, it's like stuck energy. It's paralyzed. So you have to work on loving yourself, and that's where like all my woo-woo, I totally own my woo-woo. For years, when I was in that mommy trap, I tried to like tone down my woo-woo, but the woo-woo is actually real. The consciousness type of stuff that we talk about, like, you know, thoughts have a vibration, like that's where you have so much responsibility for your life that at first that is kind of terrifying, because if you're saying to them like, you really have the power to change your life, you have the power to create your own happiness, it's like, oh my God, wait a minute, that's like, oh, like somebody else can't do it for me, like can't they fix it for me? And it's like, no, but that's where freedom lies. Like you have to get past, like there is freedom. I believe that, you know, it's like you can never saturate yourself enough with all this kind of learning. Like, you know, I'm doing the Deepak Oprah meditation, 21-day, whatever thing it is. And it's like I'm always, you know, I post, they can follow me. I'm all about, you know, trying to like add more value into people's lives with what I share on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and keeping it real. Because that's the other thing, is that as a persona, sometimes like there's this like person that we see, a personality, whether it's in spirituality or wellness, and it's like, I want to get to be them. You don't want to be them. You want to be you. Because they're not even them sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, you're not seeing their like shitty day. And I try to like really share and be authentic so that people can like get something out of it, you know? Yeah. But I'd say that you really just want to keep like asking yourself the questions like, what makes you come alive? And like, say for instance, I love fashion. I make no apologies for it. And so like I'll post selfies and I'm like, you know, living out loud person. And sometimes like people
Wait. Let me see your best selfie pose. Wait, Jenny. Stop right there.
You want me to,
what's your best selfie pose?
Okay.
Yes, show it.
I don't know why, but it's always
That's
like
good.
It's always like a side pose and like just
that was like that was a very feminine energy, sexy. Whenever I try to do the sexy, I kind of make it quirky, like I'm a dumbass.
Yeah. Well, but see, but also you have to have fun with it, though. I mean, to me, that's what I've learned is that sometimes you get a reaction from people when you first start to do that, which is why it's scary because they're like, oh, if I post a selfie, what are people going to say? And it's like, well, if they say something about it, you have to look at like the energy between their words because if they're judging you for taking a selfie, it's a friggin' selfie. Like people that don't like people that take selfies don't like themselves. Because if you love yourself and you see somebody, like, I could literally cry sometimes when I'll see somebody post a selfie and I know they're feeling good. So I'm like, oh, I'm so happy for them. But if I'm feeling like crap, which, you know, doesn't really happen very often, but if, like looking at them and I'd be like, who she thinks she is? You know what I mean? Like that.
Selfie.
Exactly. So it's
this is my greatest advice for anyone who's like, what if they think this? What's people going to think? Ready? This is it. Listen up, peeps. Who the fuck cares?
Exactly.
Are you living for your life for them, or are you going to live your life for you? Because if they're, and you nailed it, Jenny, if they're looking at it through negative eyes, it's because they're unhappy. Let's go back to kindergartner terms. I say to my little boys, when my little boys would experience, like, you know, kids being mean, I'm like, what does that really mean? And they're like, that they're not happy with themselves. I'm like, yep, it's true. They're not happy with themselves.
And also, people have to really think about their lives like this. Like, some of these people that you care what they think, they're not going to be in your life 5 years from now. They're really not. And that's like, whoa, wait, what? Like the moms at school, like we're not even going to be friends 5 years from now? Yeah, sometimes you're not. Like your life is going to look different in 5 years, and all those people that you care about what they think, they're not even going to be around. So just think about what that wasted energy is.
You know what more of a scarier thought is if you don't choose the life that you want and go after what you want and make yourself happy, you'll keep attracting these same shitty-ass people in your life over and over and over again. They'll just have different faces and different names.
Oh, my God, totally. The same type of people, yes. And it's funny because friends, if you're going to be my friend, there's two requirements, is that you have a good heart and that you're funny. Like, to me, I don't care what anybody looks like. I'm not into that kind of game. But it's like we do, like attract likes. You attract people that are like yourself. So I would just tell people, if you were to think about like what brings you joy and you follow that, you'd be amazed at how much your life can change. But we always think like fashion, and it's like, okay, so I'll see what else I can do with that. And I like to indulge in buying sunglasses and, shoes and whatever it is, because that's the thing, is life is meant to be enjoyed, not endured. And a lot of the mommy trap is like just getting through the day. And believe me, I have this day sometimes where you're just trying to get through the day, but you don't want to waste your life and look back and be like, oh my God, like, what was I doing? Like, I was just on autopilot. You got to really try to like get the most out of every day. And that's really, I think the key is if you follow joy and you follow the good vibes and what makes you happy, you have all your answers.
Yeah.
Don't think that if it feels good that like you can't make a job out of it. I believe you can make a job out of any hobby. Anything that you love, you can find a way to market it, sell something to do with it, like whatever it is. That's why for me, the writing, it's my passion, and I translated it into a way to make money, a way to also help others, because I really feel like when you have a passion, you wind up helping others in some way, whether it's directly or indirectly, because sometimes I realize you might just be an inspiration to somebody else. You're not going to hands-on, be able to help them one-on-one, but you're going to be an inspiration. Because people have said that to me. They're like, because of you, ... And whoa, is that a biggie? You're like, I've had that kind of impact. It's like, it makes everything so worthwhile.
And I don't think you know how many people you do impact. No. That's the thing. And you've said this several times, and I keep wanting to tap onto this, and the thought comes up for me when you mention it again and again. It's all about feeling good. It's all about feeling good. And the crazy thought for most people, when you sit here and say life is about joy and life is about awesomeness and feeling good, like when I talk about, one of my mottos is, if you're not experiencing awesomeness, and it is a word because it's on Kung Fu Panda, if you're not experiencing awesomeness in every aspect of your life, then what the hell is the point, right? Like you said it time and time again when you say, do I want to be at the end of my life and look back and go, oh, well, I played it safe and went through the motions and you know, or life was hard. It's like, that's a belief system you're choosing. That's your experience of life you're choosing. But I always say the sun doesn't struggle to shine, the grass doesn't struggle to grow, the birds don't struggle to sing or fly, we don't struggle to breathe. It's effortless. Life is effortlessly creating and being. It's all meant to be easy. We are the ones who choose the struggle instead of choosing the joy. So I just love how my key thing, and I even have this on like with up-leveling and moving to California and all, and like, you know, you find that where, oh my gosh, things come back in your limiting belief. I even put up in my room that says, I am committed to feeling awesome. I'm committed to feeling amazing. I'm committed to feeling good. And if I'm not feeling good, it's a red flag for me to go, whoa, what's going on inside me? What just triggered me? What just happened? What's the thought? What's the perception? What's the old limiting belief? Or like, oh, what am I wanting to feel right now and what do I get to do to create that? It's all just perfect feedback for me to move forward, but it's always about feeling good is when you're in alignment. So you talk about I love how you could make it simple for people and say, are you feeling joy? Like, if you're not feeling joy, like, what do you get to do that's joyful? How do I get to feel more joy? How do I get to feel more joy? Because when you're feeling good, you're in alignment. That's when you're a clear channel from God. That's when you're, like, inspired with your passion. That's when you can be like, oh, I want to share this idea, and you blog about it, and you inspire somebody, and you make change in the world. It's when you're feeling shitty and out of alignment, like, and you recognize where you go, why are they doing a selfie? When you're feeling, you're closed down, you're blocked, you're not in tune to create to be happy at all.
Shut the door, guys. I'm almost done. Shut the door. Shut the door. Shut the door. Shut the door. Don't you love that? It's like they're just like, you know, oh.
Mom, are you done yet?
I know exactly.
I told my nanny, I was like, I'm gonna be on my TV show. I'm like, if you can try to be a filter for, I mean, my kid will come out all the time.
I know, it's just insane. But I have to give you your name now. I'm bestowing you with a crown. You're the queen of. You're the queen of awesomeness. How do you like that? The queen of awesomeness. Okay.
I love it. I love it. That's my motto. I live in awesomeness. I love that. And when I know I'm in my divine remembrance of that I am a daughter of God, that's all that matters right there. It's not, oh, when I have a great body or when I have great relationships or when this shows up, then I'm good enough. I'm already perfect, whole, and complete. And because I remember that truth, I allow myself to live in abundance in every aspect. And awesomeness.
Exactly, I know. And really for people, I think one of the things we take for granted is some of the tools that cost like no money. Like going for a drive and listening to music at you know, the top volume where I'm like in my minivan and I'm like, why won't this go even higher? Which is gonna by myself. But like those moments where it's like, it's really about the moments. And if you can experience joy there, you just keep like adding up more joy moments, like find out what they are. But it's like really just, if you focus on enjoying yourself, I feel like the passion and all the other things, it's like a byproduct. But if you like, you can't like muscle yourself to a passion because it's not in here. It's not, this is where the thinking doesn't come in. It's the feeling. It's like, okay, what does bring me joy? What does bring me bliss? Like, why don't I do that more often? Like, if you ask people, like, what do they love to do? It's like, okay, well, when's the last time you did that?
Yeah.
Because they haven't.
Yeah, or do you hear, like, most are like, I don't know, because they haven't done it for so long. Because they've taken care of everybody else, right? Instead of finding, no wonder their life feels like shit, is because they haven't allowed themselves to experience joy. So what did you find are ways that you create joy in your life, or started with this focus of, like, how do I just feel more joy more often, even as simple as, like you said, turning on some music? What are some ways that you really...
Well, first of all, the one thing is I think if you look back in your history to when you were a childhood or when you were a teen, a lot of times there's roots to what your passion is. And I like totally forgot that I wrote like these naughty stories when I was a teenager. And my girlfriend was like, don't you remember you wrote those stories? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that. I'm like, I was a writer back then, because in my mind I wasn't a writer. You know, it was like totally, that was just for fun. Yeah. Then I'll be done in a second, buddy. And but the one thing that is so healing that I think people can always start with is if you're out in nature, it is like such a healing thing, whether you're out barefoot or whether you're in the cold and you're just out in the sunshine. Like, those are the things that are free. Like, you don't have to buy every self-help book, although I think a lot of them, you know, you kind of, you have to fill your mind with like affirmations and good vibrating, material, because exactly. But to override a lot of this stuff in your subconscious that, you're bombarded with more negative in the media and all that on a daily basis, so you try to override that. Where, like, if you saturate yourself enough with it, it does kind of go in from your conscious into your subconscious, but it takes time, and you can't muscle your way. Like, you can't go from being 300 pounds to 100 pounds overnight, just like you can't be miserable and go to, like, oh, sunshine and rainbows and everything overnight. It's a continual, like, take steps every day and trust the process. Trust that if you keep doing it, you'll get to the end result. But don't give up just because it gets hard, because that's where the doubt monsters come in. Like, as soon as you go to make a change and you're like, I'm going to do something good for myself, let me tell you something. That's where the fear comes in. That's where the doubt, that's where the subconscious does come in. Is like, oh my God, it's change. Change is danger. And it's like, no, change is not danger. It's natural. Like, if you don't have it, then you're actually not up leveling if the doubt doesn't come in. And that's something, like, I can't say that enough, because with myself, like, if I've had like a blog go viral, then you're kind of like, okay, all right, what does this mean? Like, and then you might have doubts the next day, and it's like this weird thing, because our inclination is to say, okay, I must be doing something wrong because I don't feel good. And it's like, no, this is you adjusting. It's the adjusting, and you don't have to trust the doubt. Never trust your bad days or your bad moments, because that's not truly who you are. Like you said, you're a daughter of God, and when you're in that flow, trust that. That's what you got to trust. You don't trust anxiety.
How do you shift out of it so it doesn't be that you keep recreating this stuff? How do you make your norm awesomeness? How do you make your norm feeling good? How do you make your norm joyful? The shift you're talking about is that the norm for people is feeling shitty. The norm is going through the motions. The norm is have-tos. The norm is get through the day with the kids and all the things that have to be done and should be done and all that and need to be done. All these negative energies we're literally living in. So again, like, they up level and they go, oh, I don't know how this works. So you're saying, trust the process. That is the nugget, the golden truth of the law of compounding interest. It's day by day, the little simple tiny actions that will compound over time to create the results and have you be living and being this person's awesomeness. Your kids can come say hi.
I know. Come here, buddy. I know. Well, if you can just make one, come here. If you can just make one change today, do one thing for yourself. That's all it takes. I hear you. This is the baby.
Oh, hi, baby.
Say hi.
Hi, sweetheart. Can you blow me kisses? Mwah. Can you catch it? That's what my little boys love to do. I'll blow them kisses. Mwah.
I know. They were really good.
They're so good. It's literally been 1 hour exactly in 1 minute. So they're like, Mom, you said an hour.
And here's the babysitter. Go ahead.
Awesome.
My 13-year-old son.
Thanks for helping out. You're so awesome.
And I'm a random guy.
And he says I'm a random guy. You're not a random guy. Thank you so much for having us. I know.
I'm so glad. I'm going to lead everyone to where your site is, because I know you'll, if they can participate and opt in for, like, your blogs, reading your stuff. I know you got the huge launching stuff coming out in January, but just to mention all the stuff that you have on there through Facebook, through Twitter, your fun stuff that you write. So you guys are interested in following Jenny, please do. It's Jenny G. Perry. So Jenny, Jenny, G. Perry, PERRY.com is where you can follow Jenny. So Jenny, thank you so much for being here and sharing all.
And have a great rest of the day. I can't wait to see what you have going. Bye-bye.
Doing everything fun with me. Have a good time, you guys. So if you guys are, again, you can go to mindbody90.com. The free video series and be able to access all that. You can also download the app on marcilockapp.com or on iTunes for free and be able to get all this fun stuff. So you never know what's going to show up. Obviously, this is just pure, authentic, and real from me doing this thing with the boobs to us doing all sorts of fun, seat changers. So hope you guys enjoyed today. Thank you, Jenny, for joining me again, and I will talk to you soon. You guys have a powerful, wonderful day. Power of choice is yours. Choose your best life and lock it down.
Bye.